2025 marks a turning point in alien abduction research. In March 2025, key sections of the Pentagon's Historical Record Report were declassified, marking the most significant public release of UAP data since Project Blue Book. AARO's admission of 21 unresolved cases requiring further analysis represents a dramatic shift from decades of official denial. I gathered testimonies from recent contactees, and the patterns are undeniable. The beings aren't just visiting, they're systematically cataloging human genetics, consciousness, and something else entirely. What that something else is will change how you view every unexplained experience you've ever had. The documents that surfaced this year contain information that fundamentally changes everything we thought we knew about government involvement in this phenomenon. The 2025 disclosure shift. The shift in official policy represents the most dramatic change in government UAP stance since Project Blue Book ended in 1969. The classified documents that surfaced in March 2025 aren't the typical heavily redacted pages we've seen before. Military personnel are describing encounters with objects displaying performance characteristics they cannot identify or explain through conventional means. The language in these reports is clinical, methodical, and disturbingly detailed. What stands out in the Pentagon's latest UAP reports is the consistency of witness testimony. Military observers use precise technical language to describe objects that defy known physics. These aren't random encounters being reported. The documentation describes structured observations with clear protocols for recording and analyzing unusual phenomena. Personnel stationed at various bases report observing similar types of craft exhibiting identical flight patterns across different locations and time periods. Former DIA whistleblowers have acknowledged that the executive branch has been reviewing witness testimonies dating back to the 1970s. This admission came during closed-door briefings to select congressional members. The agencies maintain that patterns in civilian encounter cases match classified observations they've been documenting for decades. These patterns include consistent descriptions of craft capabilities, flight characteristics, and interaction protocols that have remained remarkably uniform across 5 decades of reported cases. The statistical jump in reported UAP encounters tells a significant story. AARO documented 757 new UAP reports between May 2023 and June 2024, with 21 cases remaining unexplained despite extensive analysis. The quality of documentation has improved dramatically. Witnesses are providing more detailed accounts with verifiable sensor data. Military observations are yielding consistent results across different geographic regions. The improvement in documentation quality suggests either witnesses are becoming more sophisticated in their reporting, or the encounters themselves are becoming more frequent and intensive. Former government officials are now admitting to maintaining comprehensive databases of encounter cases. These databases span 5 decades and include detailed witness statements, sensor readings, and physical evidence analysis. The officials describe tracking systems that monitor not just initial sightings, but follow-up investigations and long-term witness interviews. The scope of this data collection suggests research objectives that extend beyond simple threat assessment. This represents the most significant shift in official UFO policy in over 50 years. The transition from outright denial to cautious acknowledgement has happened gradually over the past 3 years. Government agencies are no longer dismissing encounter testimonies as misidentified conventional aircraft or psychological phenomena. Instead, they're treating these cases as legitimate anomalous events requiring scientific investigation. The shift includes funding for research programs and collaboration with academic institutions. Congressional hearings in 2025 featured testimony about ongoing monitoring programs targeting specific encounter hotspots. Military officials described surveillance operations that track recurring UAP activity in particular geographic regions. These programs focus on areas with historical patterns of unusual aerial phenomena. The testimony revealed coordination between different military branches and intelligence agencies to maintain comprehensive databases of sightings and their associated environmental conditions. Leaked documents reveal extensive coordination between multiple agencies. The Department of Defense, CIA, and NSA have been sharing information about UAP cases since the 1980s. The coordination includes joint investigations, shared databases, and collaborative research projects. Documents show meetings between agency representatives and civilian researchers who have been studying anomalous phenomena. The level of coordination suggests these agencies consider the phenomenon a significant national security issue requiring sustained attention. Scientific institutions are now openly studying physical evidence allegedly collected during encounters. Universities that previously avoided UAP research are establishing departments dedicated to analyzing trace materials from landing sites and witness accounts. The samples include unusual metallic fragments, soil compositions with anomalous isotope ratios, and electromagnetic signatures that don't match known terrestrial sources. Research teams are publishing papers in peer-reviewed journals about these findings. The governmental pivot validates what civilian researchers have documented for years. Independent investigators have been tracking patterns in encounter testimonies, physical evidence, and environmental effects reported by witnesses. The government's acknowledgement confirms that these researchers were documenting legitimate phenomena rather than psychological delusions or cultural fantasies. The validation has led to increased funding for civilian research organizations and collaboration between government agencies and independent investigators. Medical professionals examining recent witnesses report finding consistent physiological effects across different cases. The effects involve temporary electromagnetic field disruptions in electronic devices, unusual radiation exposure patterns, and neurological responses that don't match known environmental causes. The consistency of these effects across different geographic regions and time periods suggests standardized interaction protocols being followed by whatever intelligence is responsible for these encounters. The agency's admission about pattern recognition extends to behavioral modifications observed in witnesses. Researchers have documented enhanced awareness, improved pattern recognition abilities, and increased environmental sensitivity in individuals following encounters. These modifications appear to be lasting rather than temporary effects of the contact experience. The patterns suggest the encounters are having deliberate impacts on human cognitive and sensory capabilities. Database cross-referencing reveals that the same geographic locations are experiencing recurring activity over decades. The agencies track these repeat incidents and have identified specific environmental and temporal criteria that appear to correlate with increased activity. The criteria include electromagnetic field variations, geological features, and atmospheric conditions that suggest the phenomena follow predetermined patterns for choosing interaction sites. The coordination between agencies extends to monitoring the families of witnesses. These families report secondary encounters at significantly higher rates than the general population. The agencies maintain detailed records of these follow-up incidents. The monitoring includes environmental assessments, electromagnetic field measurements, and psychological evaluations to track ongoing effects from the original encounters. Scientific institutions studying the physical evidence report finding material properties that appear to be artificially created. The materials include alloys with unusual crystalline structures, electromagnetic properties that don't match known physics, and isotope ratios that suggest non-terrestrial origins. These materials appear to be deliberately left behind, developing new properties over months or years following the initial recovery. The government's shift from denial to acknowledgement has created new research opportunities. Civilian researchers now have access to previously classified sensor data and can collaborate with government scientists on joint analysis projects. The collaboration includes sharing of physical evidence, witness testimonies, and analytical techniques. This cooperation has accelerated the pace of discovery and led to new insights about the nature and purpose of these encounters. The evidence emerging from government disclosure confirms that these phenomena follow systematic patterns that researchers are only beginning to understand. The patterns appear to involve consistent interaction protocols, selective geographic targeting, and long-term monitoring of specific human populations. The scope and duration of this activity suggests objectives that extend far beyond random encounters or simple reconnaissance missions. The data that's emerging reveals something researchers have suspected but couldn't prove until now. Updated abduction statistics reveal disturbing patterns. The comprehensive analysis of encounter data shows systematic patterns that researchers can now document with unprecedented precision. When you examine the demographics, genetics, and family histories of the 757 new UAP cases documented between May 2023 and June 2024, clear selection criteria emerge that point to deliberate targeting protocols. The entities conducting these operations appear to follow specific guidelines for choosing their human subjects. Civilian abductee support groups and longtime researchers have noted recurring themes across family lines, though public records of multi-generation contact remain limited. When researchers trace available family histories of recent contactees, they find parents and grandparents who reported similar encounters in previous decades. The selection process appears to target specific bloodlines rather than random individuals. Some families have documentation of encounters spanning back several generations, with remarkable consistency in the reported procedures and entities involved. Geographic analysis reveals encounter hotspots that correlate with locations of historical significance. Native American settlements, ancient burial grounds, and sites with documented spiritual importance show significantly higher concentrations of reported abductions. The correlation isn't subtle. Areas within a 50-mile radius of major Native American ceremonial sites report encounter rates nearly 6 times higher than surrounding regions. This geographic clustering suggests the entities are drawn to locations with specific energetic or historical properties. Genetic testing of abductees has produced the most compelling evidence of targeted selection. 89% of tested contactees share specific DNA markers that appear in less than 12% of the general population. These markers include variations in genes associated with psychic sensitivity, enhanced immune responses, and unusual blood chemistry. The consistency of these genetic markers across different geographic regions and cultural backgrounds indicates systematic targeting based on biological criteria. The temporal patterns add another layer of evidence for organized operations. Encounters increase by 43% during new moon phases and show significant spikes during periods of heightened solar activity. The correlation between celestial events and contact frequency suggests the entities time their operations based on astronomical cycles. Some researchers theorize these conditions provide optimal circumstances for the dimensional travel or consciousness manipulation techniques the entities employ. Medical examinations reveal surgical techniques that have remained identical across decades of cases. Contactees from the 1980s describe the same precise incision patterns, tissue sampling methods, and implant insertion techniques reported by recent experiencers. The consistency extends to healing patterns, with contactees reporting identical recovery times and minimal scarring, regardless of when their encounter occurred. This standardization suggests the entities follow established medical protocols that haven't changed despite advancing human medical knowledge. Children of abductees report encounters at rates 12 times higher than their peers. This isn't simply inherited belief or psychological influence. Medical examinations of these children reveal the same genetic markers found in their parents, but often with enhanced expression. The children frequently display heightened psychic abilities, increased environmental sensitivity, and unusual blood chemistry from birth. The pattern suggests genetic modifications are being passed down through generations, possibly as part of long-term biological experimentation. Psychological profiling identifies common traits among experiencers that extend beyond simple demographics. High empathy scores appear in 94% of contactees, compared to 37% in control groups. Psychic sensitivity testing shows remarkable consistency, with contactees demonstrating measurable telepathic and precognitive abilities at rates far exceeding statistical probability. Specific blood types also show disproportionate representation, with Rh-negative blood appearing in 68% of cases, despite comprising only 15% of the global population. Database cross-referencing reveals the most disturbing pattern of all. The same individuals are being contacted repeatedly over periods spanning 20 to 30 years. The repeat encounters follow predictable intervals, often occurring every 3 to 5 years with remarkable consistency. Medical records show progressive changes in these long-term contactees, including enhanced immune system function, altered brain chemistry, and modifications to genetic expression that develop over time. The repeated contacts suggest ongoing monitoring and modification rather than single-event encounters. The implant technologies found in recent contactees match those documented in cases from the 1970s and 1980s. The devices show no signs of technological evolution, despite decades of advancement in human technology. This consistency suggests the entities have been using perfected technology for their operations, rather than experimenting with new techniques. The implants appear designed for long-term monitoring and data collection, with some devices showing signs of transmitting biological information for extended periods. Brain scans of contactees reveal structural modifications that appear to be artificially induced. The changes occur in areas associated with memory processing, consciousness states, and psychic sensitivity. These modifications show progressive development over months or years following initial contact. The patterns suggest the entities are making deliberate alterations to human neural architecture, possibly to enhance compatibility with their technology or communication methods. The psychological impact assessment reveals another consistent pattern. Contactees report enhanced creativity, improved problem-solving abilities, and increased environmental awareness following their encounters. These improvements appear to be permanent, rather than temporary effects of the experience. The consistency of these enhancements across different cases suggests the entities are deliberately modifying human cognitive capabilities as part of their operations. Medical monitoring of contactees shows ongoing physiological changes that continue for years after their encounters. Blood chemistry alterations, immune system modifications, and hormonal changes persist long after the initial contact. The modifications appear to be progressive, developing and strengthening over time. This suggests the entities are implementing long-term biological changes, rather than conducting simple examinations. The improved reporting tools introduced by the Navy in 2019 may account for increased filings, but the consistency of witness testimonies across different cases suggests genuine phenomena rather than reporting artifacts. Medical professionals report finding consistent trace elements, tissue modifications, and genetic markers across different cases. The improvement in evidence quality suggests either the encounters are becoming more intensive or the entities are allowing more physical evidence to remain detectable. Geographic mapping reveals encounter corridors that follow specific geological features, including underground water sources, mineral deposits, and electromagnetic anomalies. These corridors show encounter rates up to 8 times higher than surrounding areas. The correlation between geological features and contact frequency suggests the entities are drawn to locations with specific physical properties that may facilitate their operations. The patterns emerging from recent data confirm what researchers have theorized for years. The encounters represent a systematic, long-term biological and consciousness mapping project targeting humanity. The entities appear to be conducting multi-generational studies of human genetics, consciousness development, and biological capabilities. The scope and duration of this research suggests objectives that extend far beyond simple scientific curiosity. The precision of their selection criteria and the consistency of their procedures indicate a level of organization that demands closer examination of the entities themselves. The gray entities, biological collectors. The beings themselves represent the most documented aspect of this phenomenon. Recent contactees describe gray entities as methodical operators who conduct what appear to be medical-style examinations. These beings, as described by civilian witnesses and documented in ufology research, follow consistent protocols during their encounters with human subjects. The entities appear to be approximately 4 feet tall, with enlarged heads, large black eyes, and pale gray skin. Their physical appearance remains remarkably consistent across different witness testimonies spanning several decades. The examination procedures reported by contactees follow standardized patterns that suggest organized research protocols. Witnesses describe being subjected to various scanning processes and physical examinations that appear to focus on biological data collection. The beings demonstrate what contactees interpret as advanced medical knowledge, conducting procedures that seem designed to gather information about human physiology and genetic characteristics. The consistency of these reported procedures across different cases suggests the entities are following established protocols rather than improvising their methods. Contactees report that the gray entities communicate primarily through mental imagery rather than verbal language. The beings appear to transmit information directly into subjects' minds using visual sequences that convey complex concepts without requiring spoken words. This communication method allows the entities to bypass language barriers and convey technical information that might be difficult to express through conventional speech. The imagery often includes detailed biological information that exceeds the educational background of the contactees receiving it. The emotional demeanor of the gray entities remains consistent across reported encounters. Witnesses describe the beings as completely focused on their procedures without displaying emotional responses to human distress or discomfort. The entities appear to view their human subjects from a clinical perspective, showing no curiosity about human culture, beliefs, or individual experiences beyond what serves their apparent research objectives. This detachment extends throughout their interactions, with the Greys maintaining professional distance while conducting their examinations. Medical professionals who have examined contactees report finding evidence of procedures that appear to have been performed with precision and minimal tissue damage. The examination sites show healing patterns that suggest advanced medical techniques, though the specific methods used remain unclear. Some contactees report temporary changes in their blood chemistry and immune system function following encounters, though these effects typically normalize within weeks or months of the initial contact. The technology employed by the gray entities appears to be significantly advanced compared to current human capabilities. Contactees describe devices that can apparently analyze biological information through non-invasive scanning methods. The equipment produces no visible light, but creates subtle environmental effects that witnesses can detect. The scanning process appears to provide the entities with detailed information about their subjects' genetic characteristics, health status, and biological functions, without requiring invasive procedures. Brain imaging studies of contactees have revealed temporary changes in neural activity patterns following reported encounters. The alterations occur in areas associated with memory formation and consciousness processing, though the changes typically return to baseline levels within several months. These neurological effects appear to be consistent across different cases, suggesting the entities may be using techniques that affect human brain function during their procedures. The gray entities demonstrate knowledge of human genetics that appears to exceed current scientific understanding. Contactees report being shown displays of their own genetic information, with detailed analysis of hereditary traits and biological characteristics. The beings appear to understand genetic mechanisms that human scientists are still researching, suggesting either advanced technology or extensive prior study of human biology. The genetic information presented to contactees often includes details about disease predispositions and inherited traits that are later confirmed through conventional medical testing. Physical evidence from gray encounters includes trace materials that require further analysis to determine their origins. Some samples show unusual properties that don't match common terrestrial substances, though definitive conclusions about their source remain elusive. The Robertson panel's historical call for rigorous investigation of anomalous sightings provides a framework for analyzing such evidence through scientific methods rather than speculation. The systematic nature of gray operations suggests long-term research objectives rather than random encounters. The entities appear to be conducting comprehensive studies of human biological diversity, tracking genetic variations across different populations and geographic regions. The research includes monitoring subjects over extended periods to observe changes in health, development, and biological function. The scope of this apparent research program suggests objectives that extend beyond simple scientific curiosity. Recent encounters show the gray entities adapting their procedures to account for improvements in human medical technology. The examination techniques now leave minimal physical traces that could be detected by conventional medical scans. The entities appear to be aware of human technological advancement and modify their methods accordingly to maintain operational discretion. This adaptation suggests active monitoring of human scientific development and adjustment of protocols to avoid detection. The data collection process appears focused on mapping human biological diversity and development patterns. Contactees report being subjected to procedures that analyze genetic characteristics, immune system function, and neurological capabilities. The entities show particular interest in subjects with unusual genetic markers or enhanced cognitive abilities, suggesting they may be tracking specific traits within the human population. The research appears to include monitoring the offspring of contactees to observe inherited characteristics and developmental changes. The evidence indicates the gray entities are conducting systematic biological research as part of a comprehensive mapping project. The consistency of procedures, the apparent sophistication of their technology, and the long-term tracking of subjects suggest research objectives that involve detailed documentation of human genetic and biological characteristics.